Hey,
Hey guys.
hey, how you doing?
Hey, very well. Thank you. And you?
Good, doing good, doing good. This
Good.
is this is
Excellent.
I am Rick and Todd. We're Rick and Todd, as you know.
I'm Diane.
I,
Right.
I know sometimes it's good to introduce you, but I feel like it's been so long since I've seen you.
Oh my gosh. When was the last show that we did?
I don't
It's been
know.
a
It
while.
was a while back. I know we were talking earlier that we did a show back in May, which was NF Awareness Month. I know we've done one since then, I
Oh
think.
my gosh. Do you think so?
I don't
Do
know. I know we did that one, NF Awareness one, you
Yes,
know.
yes, we did.
So today is October and it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, isn't it?
Don't look at me. I'm terrible with these things. I really am. I don't keep
Well,
up with Awareness Month,
I
you know.
know. I mean, it's what is it? Ice cream, pecan ice cream day? Is it the month that we're supposed to honor squirrels? You can't keep up with all this stuff,
You know,
right?
if it is, great, because we could talk about that a little bit if you want to.
Well, since you probably happen to know a little bit about this,
No, I hate to say it, but I do. I
and
do.
it is a breast care. Today is October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We looked it up.
Yeah,
We Googled it.
we
It's
cool.
got to be right, right?
It has to be.
Has to be.
Okay, great. That's nice of you to do that. I
we,
mean,
we did the
it's
NFL
very
Awareness Month,
you
right?
have looked it up.
Right. And so and that's when we wore pink.
And I should have worn pink.
I think the yellow looks good on you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Yellow's a good color. It's a happy color,
Happy.
and it does happen to look good on me.
It
So
does happen to
I,
look good on you.
I think, with my very pale skin that I have to doctor up, I'm kind of like Trump,
No.
No,
it's not good. It's not good when I don't wear a little color on my face, it's terrible. It's terrible. I hate to admit it, but if he didn't put makeup on his face, actually, we'd all be like, ah,
Wait a
you
minute.
know.
Wait a minute. You're
There's-
telling us he
Yeah.
wears makeup?
I would have never known.
I
It
am
was
shocked.
real orange
Yeah.
meat.
Yeah.
The man looks like a friggin' ghost without it. We all know that because you can see that line.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
uneducated. If a woman could just talk to him about it, but he'd never listen. He
Yes.
needs to go to the makeup counter at Macy's,
Or get a gay guy to do it for him.
Right.
Yeah. Let one of the gay guys do
A
it for
gay
him.
guy or a lady, somebody, because somebody doesn't know what they're doing with this makeup all the
Yeah,
way.
they,
But
they
yours looks great.
Well, thank you. Thank you. But he needs a little bit of help in that regard. But can I just tell you something that I read today that is a real stitch and it'll take about 60 seconds. And I read today, Stephanie Grisham's got the book out now. She's an ex spokesperson for him,
Oh,
what do
yeah.
they call it? A person who talks to the press.
Right.
And
Right.
then she was Melania Trump's assistant. Well,
Yeah.
she left, obviously, and she's written another book about working with him. And I love this because he's always been this, oh, I support the veterans, I support the veterans. Well, it turns out that he had the opportunity to earn $1 million for the veterans if he would do one thing. There was this group that would donate $1 million to him if he would go vegan for 1 month, or I should say, if he would give up animal foods for 1 month. Now, you and I both know that there are many different ways to prepare vegan and non-animal meats nowadays. I mean, the vegan foods have come a long way.
Right. Yeah.
And he has great chefs. Now, these great, tremendous chefs could easily prepare meat-like foods that
yeah.
are outstanding. Okay. So if he had given up meat and had these guys prepare these non-meat foods for 1 month, vet organizations would have been given $1 million.
You can do it.
But it didn't hit the press, but she said, of course, he refused. And do you want to know what his reasoning was?
We would love it.
Fear of
Yeah.
protein.
But he said the vegan foods are not good for you, and He said if one brain cell in his brain was killed from those terrible foods, it would not be good for the country.
He really said that.
If one of his brain cells was killed,
Well,
it would be disastrous for the country.
I think it's a little late for that. I think that might be. You might be just. I think we're already in trouble. Right. I think. Yeah, that's it. That's. I had not heard that story. I know Stephanie. She resigned on January 6th. I read that, and this is when she was.
Oh, she was a firm believer that this was a horrible thing that happened.
Right, but I've heard the book. I haven't read the book yet, but I've heard it just really, it really spills the tea, throws the shade, whatever you want to put out there. So I've got it on my reading list.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, she really got into it, and she was horrified by January 6th, and she left. Yep. And of course, she hasn't spoken to him since. So, but yeah, so 1 million.
1 million. I would have done it. I would have done it for a lot less. I mean, we like our veggie burgers, and there's some really good ones, man.
We do too. We eat them all the time.
The Morning Star, I think it is.
Yeah. Is that what you like?
Yeah. And they have some new ones out too. They have a new burger product out that they say is just fantastic. So I told Mark we got to try that one, because it sounds they're advertising it now.
Is that are you talking about the Beyond Burger? Is that the one you're talking about?
I don't know, because we haven't looked for it yet.
Yeah, if it's Beyond, if that's what you're looking at. We've tried it and it's awesome. Yeah. You almost feel like when you eat it, you almost feel like you're cheating. Like this tastes. I'm like, really? And then you have to really, but then you look it up. The guy who created it was a biochemist. And he was, the whole reason why he created it is because, we can't sustain food with our beef economy, meat economy. So the idea is that the only way we can have a sustainable diet for a planet is plants. And so, but we still like meat. So he developed this Beyond product. Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And our population, they're not going to give up meat. And I honestly, I no longer understand what the attraction is, but they're not going to give it up. So, Americans are just, and how many percentage of the population of the world does not even eat meat? I mean, it's a tremendous amount it's probably 3/4 of the population of the planet doesn't eat meat.
Yeah, most people don't. Yeah, most of them have a plant-based diet, and
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Beans and rice is the main staple, and then they eat the plantains and the other, non-based meat foods around that. So he eats, ever since somebody bested him at the, what is it called? The Trump Hotel in Washington, D.C. Somebody went to dinner there with him, and he always ordered a 32-ounce steak at dinner. That's his thing, a 32-ounce steak.
Good grief. I mean, how could you eat that, man? Not explode.
Oh, yeah, with the shellfish entree. And then he'd have a fresh bottle of, he's a teetotaler, fresh bottle of Perrier opened at the table with a napkin around it because he's a germaphobe.
He's a germaphobe. Yeah, I've heard that.
And the gentleman who opened it would have to wear gloves and to open it. And then one day a guest with him had a 42-ounce steak, and he went nuts. So from there on out, he had to have a 42-ounce steak because, with Trump, the bigger, the better. Well, this guest had a 42-ounce steak. It enraged him later. So from then on, he had a 42-ounce steak.
How could you possibly? How big would a 42-ounce steak be? How big is that?
Him and Elvis, right? So, at some point, I don't understand how he's made it to 74. But apparently, he's slimming down a little. Maybe the doctor finally did say to him, you're a time bomb. But anyway, so I don't know how. I've noticed that he has slimmed down a little.
Have you really? I haven't seen him in a while. He's really slimmed down. Oh, yes, I guess he did that rally here in Georgia. last week,
Yeah,
didn't it? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Now, I don't know how much, but it did from the front view to me. Now, it's the side view that tells, but from the front view, he did a view. Something about
Side
that
view. I hate the
back.
side view. Oh, damn the side view.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know, maybe 20 pounds. I don't know. But he did to me when he was, they had a front view of him walking across the stage. I thought, doggone, did he lose a little bit, in the belly? Maybe. I
Maybe
don't
so.
know. But anyway, between that and the fact that I just can't understand why people cannot get over this whole mask mandate thing and the whole vaccine thing. When are they just going to get over that and move on?
I
I
still, I mean,
don't
it's one of the great
get it.
mysteries of the universe, right? We've been talking about this, like, I mean, I understand people not liking masks, right? I mean,
Right.
nobody likes them. Hey, can we have this show's called Direct Talk. It's called a Direct Talk, right? So we can say direct things, right?
Yes.
We said,
Yes.
we've talked about like masks are kind of like condoms. I mean, nobody likes them, but you do need to use them,
Oh, and this is even worse because it's turned into this mass movement and
Right.
they just won't drop it. It just goes on and on and on. It's like, shut up already.
Right.
Just,
I can understand people not liking them, but running
yeah,
protests or suing the government because your
yeah.
kid has to wear a mask. I mean, really?
I know. Why is it such a BFD? Please, can we just, isn't making a living more important? I mean, now they're tying it to making a living. And these guys go to city council meetings, and I saw one video. Someone very close to me in my family, I will not mention what relationship or name, any of that, but I've started reading the nutcase videos he started sending me because I thought, you know what? I used to ignore them and just, delete them. But now I've started reading them because I just want to see
Yeah.
what the hell these people are reading on
Right.
their non-YouTube alternative thing now. Because they can't read YouTube because YouTube has said we've had it and they're
Right.
starting to take
Yeah.
these off. So now they have their alternative video site that they're watching. And I thought, I want to see what he's got. And he keeps sending them, thinking he's going to convince me, I guess, otherwise. So he's sending this stuff. And it's all these guys talking about all this. And they show people at city council meetings who start yelling at the councilman, take off your mask.
So
Otherwise, you're going to have a revolution.
do they ever explain why though? I see a lot of vibrato and a lot of people screaming and yelling, but is there any like reason why?
They just think that it is an affront to their rights. You are tromping on our rights. And now, holy moly, now that there's mandates that hospital workers have to have a vaccine, oh my God, are you trampling rights? And oh my Lord, this is a Nazi state. And personally, I'm like, I don't know about you, but between the masks and the vaccine, I'm okay with all that. I mean, when I had my surgery, when I went in, I was really okay with them having masks and having had their vaccines.
Right.
Okay. I
Like
was
what if the
really
doctor said,
okay.
I'm not going to wear this mask on this surgery because it violates my
No.
rights,
Yeah, it violates my rights not to have had that vaccine when I've got your body open on this
Right.
table.
So
You know, it's like these and all these nurses who are breathing in my face. I mean, I had to wear a mask. I had to show proof of vaccine. I'm dang well want the same from them. And I'm sorry, but for them to be bitching and moaning about having to wear a mask and not wanting to be vaccinated, that really, I am like, fire their asses. I'm
so
fine with it.
Is that the reason why though? Because I've been trying to like make some rhyme or reason about it. Is it just that they want to bitch about something? Is it just that I mean, are they really? Do they even understand it, or are they just like want to bitch? They're just people that are
No,
gonna. These are people are gonna bitch about anything.
apparently, because they have been bitching about anything for the longest time. They do see it as an affront to their rights, period. And here's the thing I was reading that is so interesting. They honestly believe, and this is what Trump has convinced them of, they honestly believe that Democrats are treasonous. They honestly believe that Democrats are treasonous and are destroying the country. The reason they are so awful about these things is
So is that why they don't want to wear masks? Because they think that's associated with Democrats, and Democrats are associated with treason. They created this sort of line of reasoning, like mask equals Democrat, Democrat equals treason, so therefore mask bad. Is that kind of the way this works? So that's
vaccine.
kind of like saying that if I like, I mean, it's like if A equals B, then yeah, I mean, it's this weird sort of line of logic that doesn't make any sense.
Yes, and the one of the roots. This is what Trump's niece. Her writing is fascinating. I highly recommend reading it. She is amazing, and she explains these things very clearly.
And what was her name again? The niece's
Mary
name?
Trump.
Yeah, yeah.
Mary
So yeah, she's the one who's wrote all this stuff about him. Kind of spilled. She's the other
Yes.
spilled the beans, and of course they're kind of like fighting each other about it. But she's been writing this stuff for a while, right?
Right, and now she's written this article that explains why these outlier Republicans who follow Donald Trump and are so offended, who are so horribly responding to all of this, why they are the way they are, and what he has convinced them of, and why he's so dangerous.
Why? We want to know. We do. So please tell us.
Because they have felt so like they have no control of anything for so long. They have convinced themselves, or he has helped convince them, that Democrats are so evil, much like the Nazis convinced people that the other members of the other party were so wrong and so taking over them.
They were scapegoating them, right? So basically, so to me, it sounds like that these people out there that are Trump supporters, they've got a lot of anger. They've got to be angry about stuff. So Trump is using Democrats to, instead of directing it to what they really should be angry about. These sort of the classic thing of let's direct it and let's do sort of a misdirection, like Hitler said the Jews are bad. You're living in poverty because it's all the Jews' fault. Because obviously Germany. So, and it really wasn't, but it was just easier to, instead of facing what's really bothering you, it's just easier to be mad at someone else. Is that kind of where this is going? And this gets back to the mask. So I can't wear a mask because then I'm a Democrat, then I'm a treasonous, and and these people are trying to destroy America.
Right, and it's not just Democrats. They have felt that blacks and Democrats and anybody who's not a white working class person has been treated as being above them for so long. They have felt victimized for many, many years by Democrats, by blacks, by Hispanics, by Asians. They have felt that these people have trampled them down for so many years, and that they have felt like victims, and Trump has liberated them.
So, and he's basically though played on that, like he's just a marketeer who's came in. He's like a pastor who's come into a people who are in a drought, and he's played on their fears. This is
he could give a flip about them, just like Hitler couldn't give a flip about the people that he was he was telling he cared about. He didn't give a flip about those people either. He just knew that he needed them.
Right. They become
And
like a, yeah.
what Trump knows he needs. And in the process, he demonized. He demonized Catholics. He demonized Jews, and anybody in the government who did not fall into line and agree with him and did everything he said, he killed. And he, of course, he
Yeah.
locked up Jews
I
and
think
killed
gay
them.
people got a bad rap there
Yeah,
too.
the pink triangle.
The pink triangle. So I think the gays got a little bit of that there too.
Oh,
Because
no,
it was
they
just,
did too. Oh no, they did too. And before Trump, gays were fine. And
oh yeah. Yeah. Until all of a sudden became a Republican. Yeah. Before then he was all.
everyone was fine.
Right.
The German society was accepting of everyone, including drug dealers, drug use. Oh, they were. But
That's
once
right.
they came in,
That's what Cabaret was about. I saw Cabaret. I know what you're talking about. Liza Minnelli.
they were right. They were accepting of everyone. But when
Right.
Hitler came in, that all went away. Because he wanted absolute power. So everyone went away, and anybody that could possibly threaten him at any point, he was cleansing the culture.
So is he gone? I mean, here's a big question we have. He lost the election. He's not conceded. He's the first president who's never conceded, right? He's never
Right.
said, yeah, and this is the first time this has ever happened in American history.
Right.
So, but that's become a big fundraising thing for them, right? The fact that once he concedes, their fundraising machine shuts down. Because, right, I want you to know, I got on their text list. I get texts from them every day. And so I started doing that just for fun. And they have gotten really like aggressive with their texts. Like they said, hey, are you ignoring me? Are you not a patriot? We need 96 patriots to stop the I mean, this is the kind of stuff they're sending out to people, and because basically they're like, we could still win this election. But so once he concedes, it basically that shuts down his fundraising. That's the way I sort of see it. That kind of the way it looks.
Right. And he has funneled all Republican National Committee fundraising to his bank account. And he has raised over $100 million already for his campaign.
So he's back in for the next election.
He's far ahead of everybody. And he has convinced 78% of Republicans that the election was cheating him out. It was a steal.
Yeah, because there's nobody else really running right now. And usually in the election cycle, you start to see people like they start cropping up pretty early, like the Marco Rubios and all these people. They're going to put that in.
Ron DeSantis, who is basically a Trump clone, is now neck and neck with him, according to today's news.
DeSantis is the Texas governor, right?
No, Florida.
Florida. I get it confused. Florida, Texas, they're like two.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's the Florida governor, right. And then Rubio's of course the senator down there too, right?
Right. And and Ron DeSantis, of course, is he's playing the media. He is now Fox News' favorite guy to follow, and he plants all the stories with Fox News and then comes on as, oh, surprise, here's Ron DeSantis, and yet now he's actually planting the news and then comes on as a surprise guest, whereas he's actually planting and planning the news with them and planning his appearances, and they put it as a surprise. So they're very supportive of him. And of course, Florida has just been one big dumpster fire. And, whole focus of this whole mask and COVID thing.
Right.
And he's playing on that big time. And of course, they're just, teachers are even dying from it because he won't let them.
Right. See, isn't he the one who put a mandate against mask mandates, right? I mean, because he said he didn't want to mandate people to wear masks, so he put a mandate in not to wear a mask. Basically, he mandated not having a mandate, right?
Oh yeah, and he's told that school board members and teachers will be fined if they even suggest it.
Really?
So
right. That's what I don't understand. Like, shouldn't they let like the school boards decide what's right among for themselves? Because every area is a little different. You may be having like in this area, you may be having a big breakout, so you need to start wearing masks. But
You can't, no. So, there are just so many, I just don't even want to call them. So this thing is just so blown out of control. And you know what? All of these people that the hospitals are firing, these hospitals, over 100 employees, they are talking about how, their COVID is so bad and they are having to ration care and it's so rampant. And these bigger hospitals, they have so many employees, they're saying, let them go.
right.
Let them
Well,
go.
so because I think they're having to cut down on other surgeries. And if you don't mind me asking, because you've gone through a lot, did you have any trouble getting stuff lined up for you because of all the stuff you've gone through for your medical treatments?
No, I did not. However, I was at Wellstar North Fulton and they had all beds full with 92% COVID cases.
Wow.
So I had to go into the hospital for an emergency. I wouldn't have had a bed.
But you were able to get your procedures done okay? Because I guess
I was outpatient and everything went smoothly. But had anything happened to me, they wouldn't have had a bed. I would have had to been taken to a different hospital because 92% of the bed, well, all of them are full, 92% COVID cases.
Good grief.
So I hate hearing about how, COVID is, that's the other thing. COVID isn't real. And the other thing they're spreading on these alternative sites where it's all alternative news is that that all the cases are not COVID. They're people who have had vaccines who are filling the hospital beds and they call it the death shot, by the way, on the
Really?
alternative.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I know people down on masks. Vaccines. Vaccines are intense and they're a little more invasive. So I can understand people having trepidation. But we've all had to grown up taking shots before. It's not like we.
Well, the other thing about it is these people are anti-vaxxers. They let their kids suffer miserably from measles rather than vaccinate them because they're just sure it makes them autistic when they grow up.
Do you know anybody like in your circle, like your family or friends who are like not taking the vaccine, or do you have anybody? Huh?
No.
So we've had to deal with this because none of my, I guess, I don't mind saying this, but my family hasn't most of them haven't had the vaccine, but there was a recent event where felt like we needed to go to this family event. It was, we've hadn't seen them in a while, but this was, it seemed important to go to. And we were like, how do we deal with this? I mean, we're vaccinated. They're not. I'm actually more concerned about getting them, but they don't seem to really care. I'm more concerned about like, we could.
They'll get a cold.
Yeah.
They think they'll get a cold. They don't. And I don't. I have friends. They all have friends who got sick, and one of them was sick for 10 days with fever every day. And I'm like, that is no picnic.
No.
You go through that, a fever every day. Oh, I'll get over it.
Have you had anybody's had breakthrough cases? Have you had any personal and with that?
No, I haven't, but most of their cases are really mild. From what I understand, the breakthrough cases are very mild. So
We've had some friends who had breakthrough cases. They were both, but they said, listen, we were sick, but we were told by our doctor that if we hadn't had the vaccine, we would have been in the hospital. They're pretty sure they got the Delta variant, and they had been vaccinated, and they were both just, I mean, they said it was really like the worst flu they ever had. They said they never felt like they had to go to the hospital. Like we've had the flu, you never really think of going to the hospital. But they said that if they hadn't have, they would have, it could have been really bad,
Yeah. No, I understand that it's still no picnic. Now, John Roberts, Chief Justice, was diagnosed today.
No, it was at Kavanaugh. Was it Kavanaugh that was diagnosed or Roberts? Was it both of them?
John Roberts, maybe they both have been, because they're probably passing it around, but he isn't having any symptoms. And so you can still get it if someone around you has it.
Right.
And
Yeah, and you could
but
test positive and not have any and that's what we were worried about. Like if what if we've had the vaccine and we've been around people and then we go around our family and then all of a sudden, 2 weeks from now we hear like, oh, everybody's got. I mean, we were, and I don't know, but they don't seem to be the least bit concerned about it. They're like, oh,
yeah,
well,
right. Oh, yeah, and I hear a lot of people say, well, COVID, so I don't care about getting the vaccine because I've had it, so I'm immune. So, and that's basically what they say. So I go, okay, but Mark and I are still wearing masks in public.
yeah,
So,
we started doing
and
it too. Yeah.
yeah, and I think I really need to be careful. So, I'm being really careful, and I intend to get the booster. It'll
Oh
be
yeah, I was
six.
going to ask you that. What do you think about the booster? Are you going to get that?
Oh yeah, I need to. I
Yeah.
really feel like I need to after, because I'm going to have radiation this month, mid-month. And I
Right.
really think like having been through cancer and still being in
Sure.
treatment, I think I need to do that for
Definitely.
myself.
What,
Yeah,
what
and it'll be 6 months since I've had the first 2 shots. And that's what they say, wait that 6 months. But my doctors are telling me, you really should get it. And they're telling me get it before the flu shot because apparently the flu season right now is not in full swing.
Yeah.
So my doctors recommended get your booster shot first and then go ahead and get your flu shot a few weeks after that.
Really? That's what they're saying? That's kind of good to know. I didn't know that. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
kind of cool. So
Yeah.
I remember, if I remember now, we actually talked to you on the day you got your second shot. Do you remember that?
It's been a while. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
your-
yeah.
Remember, I think we talked to you and you were like, you had really just came, I think, from your second shot.
Yeah.
Because I remember, like, by the end of the talk, you were going, I'm feeling a little tired. And we thought it was our fault because we're so boring. But no, no, I think it's the shot that's making me a little tired. I mean, but literally, because it'd been hours. And by the end of the time we were talking, you were like, I'm starting to feel a little tired. But you were fine,
Yeah.
And that
I
was
did.
probably about 6 months ago.
Yeah, I was tired for a couple of days.
Yeah.
It would have been.
We got our second shot in April. So we're going to probably go ahead and see if we can, because we've got, like you, medical issues. And so, and what we understand too, like if you go and you want to get a booster, they're not going to, like, from what they said on the news, like, I have a medical issue, like, fine. They're not going to, like, get you to show, prove it, or whatever, or whatever.
No, they don't. They don't ask. They're really good about it.
Right.
So, yeah, they're really good about it. And I don't know what effect radiation is going to have on me. That's another question. Although I am going to have what they call the cyber knife, which is a more directed radiation. So I find out more about it. I have met with the doctor. He said it's actually much easier than the regular radiation. And I only have to have 5 sessions. And it's very targeted. He said most people don't get sick from it. And the only thing is you have to lie really still, which is pretty hard for me. And you have to do that for an hour. So they said in the materials, if you need to take something to stay still, please do. So I thought,
what are you going to take? What would you take to keep still, Diane? What would be your still taking? What would you take?
Big guns for that, because especially since my cancer was right basically at the base of my, I'll say armpit. So, and so if I've got to hold my arm up through the whole, can you imagine how uncomfortable that'd be for an hour?
Right.
I figure I'm going to definitely have to take something to be able to do that. So I've got some pills just in case. My doctor gave me some. So
we hope it goes well. To be honest with you, we were talking about this before. You probably find this kind of silly, but you would probably be surprised how little men know about breast cancer for women. Because we're kind of embarrassed to talk about it. Then we feel like that we don't want to, and so it would be, if you ever thought about it, that might be an interesting article to write. We thought about that. There's a suggestion like, breast cancer primer for men who, don't want to talk, or something like that. You could do a typical comedy spin on it, but But I mean,
Right.
honestly, we don't I mean, for example, you've had a lump in your breast, right? And that's how
Oh,
you found it. Yeah,
yeah,
that was the
it was
cancer.
big too. I mean, it was not so big that it wasn't considered stage one. I was very lucky that it was big. I mean, I found it, and it was definitely big enough that I knew what it was. There was definitely a lump, and it was placed very near the surface. So when I did my breast self exam, which by the way, I found every doctor I went to, including the first one, who was the one who diagnosed it. First, you do a mammogram, and I did the new 3D one. It's relatively new, not brand new. And that one, believe it or not, is actually a lot more comfortable than the regular mammogram where you're like, smashed like a pancake. This one was far easier than that, which most women can't believe, but it's true, because regular mammograms are like the most uncomfortable things on the planet. It's like, how much can you smash a breast,
We
And
didn't know that.
It's
I
like
didn't
a
know
loose
that.
breast like this.
yeah,
See, the first thing you got to realize that every time a dude says breast, we kind of giggle. It's just we're all high school boys on the side, gay or
oh,
straight. It's the same way. Like,
I,
so that'd be the first thing you got to get us over. Every time you say breast, we're kind of like breast. So that'd be the first thing you'd have to get us over because we're all high school boys, right? Whether we're gay
yeah,
or
right,
straight. So it's very
right.
difficult for us to talk about breast without giggling. Just to be perfectly
Right.
honest,
Well,
you know.
listen, we have the
And even
same
with
way.
breast cancer, I know it's serious. But we're like giggling. Oh, she's talking about
Yeah, yeah.
breast.
Yeah, and we talk about them all the time because we're always stuffing them into dresses, and we're talking about how clothes fit, and we're always talking about, did you have your mammogram, and and how are they smashing it? I mean, we're talking about boobs all the time, and we know we're always talking about men, and did they notice your boobs? And oh, and how much our husbands love our boobs, and I mean, we talk about boobs constantly.
And
So,
straight guys talk about them constantly too, but for very different reasons. And so that would be I mean, we don't talk about it that much, but our friends do. And we were realizing, and that I thought we would drop that in your head, like you'd be. I mean, I know your husband; he's probably learned a lot, but most people who haven't had a firsthand experience with breast cancer or whatever know
right,
ridiculously little about it. I really
yeah,
honestly, we were like when
yeah,
we started talking about what you were going through, we were like,
yeah,
I don't know.
right. Well, you learn a lot about it, let's just say that. And
Yeah.
after you have that mammogram, then you find out, then you go to an ultrasound, which is the next step. And then you have usually a man, a radiologist, who usually is a man, come in and do an ultrasound check. And then he goes on to do, if he thinks that it's something that should be checked out, then he does a biopsy, which is a very strange experience because in my case, I had to be on my side, and they insert, I don't know if it's a long needle or what, but they insert something really long
Hmm.
into your breast to snip
Tissue. They're pulling tissue out.
tissue
Yeah.
to check out and send to a lab to see if you have a malignancy.
Right.
And I did.
Right.
And I had a radiologist who was great. This doctor, this gentleman was wonderful. And he called me personally. He didn't want me to just see a lab report or have
That's
someone
cool.
call and give me your lab report.
Right.
He called to tell me. And he was really nice. And I just, and I just said, okay, I said, thank you so much for calling me. I really appreciate it. And he said, well, I'll tell you what, we can set you up for a meeting with our breast cancer team for Thursday, which was 3 days later. And he said, I got to tell you, you're taking this really well. And I said, well, look, it's something that, I knew there was certainly a chance at my age, and there's certainly a chance that it's either going to be that or it's going to be that I'm perfectly fine. I just knew that there was a chance, and, okay. So he said, well, I'm glad you're taking it well.
Cool.
That's really great.
That's good.
So, because a lot of women don't. And he said, and I'm really impressed that you did your breast self exam and found it yourself.
That is. That
And
sounds like that's important. That was key. So, are you going to be okay? I mean, what's the? I mean, this you're going to go. Yeah, he's
so
going to be okay.
all these steps, there were so many steps before surgery. That was one of the things that was really interesting. I had no idea how many steps there would be before they actually do surgery,
Mhm.
which was one thing that was actually nerve wracking, because you always hear that, time is not your friend. A short period of time is your friend. The sooner the better you get it out of your body. And but things take time. you
Right.
know MRI, meeting with the doctor, getting it planned, getting to the hospital, getting to surgery, and then after planning it with the doctor, getting your MRI, planning it again, making sure everything is what they say, and then you have to go to the hospital a number of times for different tests. Then you go back for a COVID test again. It's constantly things you have to do before you
Right.
even get in the hospital. Then you have the surgery, and then they double check everything. Then everything goes
Wow.
to a pathologist. They check everything again.
Right.
Then you're waiting again to make sure, they think they get everything. And but then you have to wait again until the pathologist goes, nah, 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 nah.
Yeah.
And
They
sure
really.
enough, pathology, yeah, blesses all the. So sure enough, the pathologist said my breast was fine, margins were fine, and they take lymph nodes, and that my lymph nodes were clear.
Cool. That's good. Good to hear. I'm
Yeah,
glad it's gonna be okay.
yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know how much time we have left or whatever. I know we were kind of getting close on time. I don't know what your time schedule's like or what Taryn's like. I know you may find this hard to believe, but we've been talking for 45 minutes. I mean, it seems like
So
time has flown by, or whatever. I don't know. What is your time schedule like?
this is such a long topic because
Right.
for women, this is very scary, obviously. And with breast cancer, there are varying degrees of how you're going to be.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I got, for me, the best, I got the best news possible. And I can't imagine. And because I had stage 1 and the best outcome, now I have to have radiation to give me that best outcome. But with radiation, I will have a 93% of non-recurrence,
That's great. Great news.
which is about as good as it gets.
Yeah, that's
So,
really
but
great.
other women are not so fortunate.
Right. Yeah.
I really feel I didn't have to have my breast removed,
Yeah,
and
that's true. You didn't. That's good. That's good news. Good news, right?
women do.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. So many women do, and so many young women in particular have to have a double mastectomy. And
Mm.
for young women, they're in more peril than those of us who are older,
Right.
because it does metastasize faster, I believe. So,
Yeah.
they
Right.
have a harder time, and their prognosis is usually that they definitely have to have a double mastectomy, and they have to have chemo. I don't have to have chemo. So,
That's great, man. For what I understand. Yeah. For what I
yeah,
understand, that's really
no,
cool.
chemo's hard.
Yeah.
And
So.
the worst thing for me will be, in my opinion, will be the fact that I have to take a pill for 2 to 5 years when the radiation is over that's going to suppress all hormones. And I won't be able to have any hormones. And that includes estrogen and testosterone, progesterone, which are what give you, softer skin and hair. You'll have hair loss, you'll have drier skin. Everything that makes you more feminine goes away. And I'm like, oh, great.
Really.
I won't enjoy that. And
It is-
I've already, because my last doses of my hormone supplementation were in March. And that was, I had what's called Palatine, which actually gives you 3 months of, it's a natural supplement, and it gives you 3 months of hormones. And by that time I had found it was March or April. By that time I had found my tumor, and I was told, you can't have those anymore. And I'm already having hair that's coming out. And that's been hard
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. I'm sorry about that, man.
My
But on the
neighbor,
good news, it's like you've come pretty good about that. Sorry about my phone. I didn't.
well,
I thought,
yeah, my neighbor has said, well, you've been blonde all your life. Why don't you get yourself a purple wig? And I thought, pink's more my color, So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
It's going to be an adventure from here on out,
I know it will be.
Yeah.
Well, keep us posted. I don't know about what your time is. I know we're kind of running out of time. I don't know if there's anything else or I don't. I mean, I don't know, Taryn. I don't. Huh?
We've had fun talking about a number of things, and
So
I'm
is it
definitely so.
is a teaser for the next time we can talk? I'm gonna probably need your advice and we can maybe this could be a trailer for next one. I've been diagnosed with prostate cancer, so maybe you can give me some along the way. Yeah, so maybe you can help me out. That's why. So maybe we can talk about that next time if you're interested. But I definitely wanted to hear about how you were going to.
Do you have your plan of care? Just tell me if you have your plan of care.
Yeah. Well, right now, what they're doing, because for prostate cancer, they have a new protocol called active surveillance, and because they learned that but they used to they here in America, 60% of the people who have the diagnosis the men will outlive it, so they watch it. So that's what they do for now. So I'm in that diagnosis stage right now, so which is good because I don't have to go through any treatment. But because I've been diagnosed so young, I will probably have to face treatment someday, which may be coming sooner than. So we just watch it and take regular biopsies. So I know what you're talking about with the biopsy and all that kind of stuff. But maybe sometime next time maybe you can keep me posted what you're going through.
Yeah, we've got one friend who has, after he learned that I had the breast cancer treatment, also told us that he was recently diagnosed with prostate cancer. So, and he's in the same boat you are. He said, well, we're going to be seeing just exactly what the protocol is going to be. But I'm figuring that, time is good because they come up with more.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Options, and it progresses really well. Just like my breast cancer,
right.
It's gotten to the point where the surgeries have gotten so much better and treatments have gotten so much better. So
I think it's good, encouraging to hear positive stories like yours. Like you've gone through it, you're coming out the other side of it, you're doing well, you're going to be. I mean, obviously you've got some things you're not going to like, some things you have to deal with, but you're going to be fine. It sounds like, and those kind of stories are encouraging to all of us out there and all everybody who's has to face this. That you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Right. When you start getting, prognoses that you have 93% of non-recurrence.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Wow.
Yeah, that's great.
Wow. It's great. Well, good. We will definitely talk about that.
Yeah, but I'm glad. But it's encouraging to hear a good report from you. That kind of gives makes me feel better about the whole thing, and that's why I'm glad you shared the story. I think anybody who listens to it, I think it'll be an encouragement.
Yeah, and keep keep that positive attitude. I know I did through the whole thing. It makes the healthcare providers relax.
Right, that's a good point.
They really like the fact that you have that because you can joke with them and you go in positively and everyone relaxes. I know in the hospital, it was just amazing to see how the nurses and doctors, when I was joking with them and just relaxed with them, it was like a whole different atmosphere for them.
I bet. Yeah, it makes sense.
I think that was really great for them, because I called it a boob instead of a breast, and they got such a kick out of that. And they knew with that alone, they were like laughing and just like everyone was good. So, keeping that attitude, I think makes a huge difference. And I know you will.
That's what I'll do. Yeah, especially here, having you have a good attitude kind of makes it contagious. So it's good.
Good. And let me know if you've got anything you want to talk about too. We can be friends, and we can be friends in this too. It's
okay.
Good.
Yeah. Perfect. Sounds great.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much.
Well, we're unless there's something else, we're gonna sign off. Is that okay, Taryn?
He probably fell asleep while he was. Maybe. Okay, bye, guys.
All right, it's good
All
seeing
right,
you.
good to see you.
Take
All right,
care.
bye.
Bye-bye.